Tips from Trestle, the Senior Living Food and Hospitality podcast, is brought to you by eMenuChoice Point of Sale and ClarkPRO. Welcome to Tips from Trestle, the Senior Living Food and Hospitality podcast. This podcast explores the senior living industry with a unique focus on food, hospitality, and the community experience. I'm your host, Aaron Fish. My goal for this podcast: educate, inform, and inspire leaders in senior living. How? By bringing the resident and customer experience to the front of mind in our industry. We should bring the passionate spirit of food and hospitality to everything that we do and everyone we serve each and every day. So what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. Today on Tips from Trestle, I'm joined by Becky Smith, the Partnership Development Manager for ClarkPRO. They are a food service equipment provider, and we are recording this live at the SDA Synergy Conference. So Becky, thanks for joining me today on Tips from Trestle.
Thanks for having me.
So first, obviously, let's get your take on the conference.
Yeah.
What's your experience been like so far?
Yeah. So I think it's been a great conference so far. We were actually able to, see the eclipse this afternoon.
It was very cool.
A lot of great attendees, a lot of great networking. We were even able to see a magic show after lunch.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience. It's a little bit unlike other conferences you go to.
It is.
So I do appreciate that.
Yes. We're in the trade show now. I think most vendors are all set up. A few left to set up, but it's definitely looking friendly and welcoming, and a lot of great brands for, I think, the operators to look at.
Yeah. I was having a conversation earlier about like the value of this expo over some of the others. And I think it mostly because it's so focused on, we have dining operators here. And so everyone here has some sort of connection to whether it's food or selling food or technology or support or whatever it might be. It's just everybody has like a purpose and brings extra value as opposed to maybe a regular show where you're part of the larger landscape.
Right.
So
yeah, I think that, you're able to connect with people that you wouldn't normally be able to. There's a lot of great relationships that start here. And the ROI has been great for us over the past, this is the 6th year for Senior Dining Association, and it continues to grow.
Yeah, no, it's a great conference. And so, but one of the reasons I wanted to drag you on the podcast was the ClarkPRO.
Yeah.
Right. And so as I worked with you in the past, it's always been Clark food service equipment, and so obviously this year there's been a change in that. And so I want to learn a little bit more about the why, the how, the what. And so tell us a little bit about how ClarkPRO is different than Clark food service equipment.
One of my favorite things to talk about. So I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Clark Associates and familiar with that family of companies.
Right.
Under the Clark Associates umbrella, we have many companies. One is Webstock Store. That is our public e-commerce channel that anybody can purchase from. We have restaurant stores, which are cash and carry, brick and mortar models. We have National Accounts, which works with our chain restaurants and more. But specifically, when we look at Clark food service equipment, typically the Pro Marketplace platform that is now ClarkPRO has sat underneath that company's services.
Yeah.
And it was, Clark food service equipment is specialized in design, full equipment packages, and then turnkey construction. Pro Marketplace was the service. So there's 4 services. So as we found extreme growth, opportunity in the market through the 7 main market segments that we're working in, it was apparent that we needed to just sort of create our own company, which is called ClarkPRO. We saw the Pro Marketplace platform, which is an e-commerce platform for our partners. And so we have peeled out under the Clark food service equipment company. However, that bridge is still very healthy. Obviously we're collaborating and working with a lot of the same partners. Clark food service equipment, specifically experts in design, equipment, and turnkey construction. Turnkey construction being a smaller area that maybe is too small for general contractor, but too large for your maintenance team or plant team. So They can do everything from start to finish, and it's a really great service.
Yeah. And so the Clark Pro is not just limited to, say, like senior living, or
Right.
it's for any food service operator out there.
Right. So we are, large, complex, sophisticated multi. So we are working with customers in senior living, higher education, hospitality, healthcare, hospital, food service,
Mhm.
amusement parks, and really our wheelhouse and what fits best for our customer base are those larger, complex, sophisticated multi-units like you've been on the operator side.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that I noticed, because, we still work together on a lot of projects, and the website has kind of undergone this whole new change. And I know there was nothing wrong with the old website, but there would be times where I'm kind of poking around and trying to figure out where something's at. And like, if I knew what I was looking for, it was easy to find, but there was always a challenge here and there. And I think the website redesign has maybe addressed some of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point. I think at the end of the day, we have over 500,000 units that we're selling, but we're selling the technology behind doing the distribution is really what sets us apart. So
Right.
the platform, yes, went through a redesign and a relaunch just about a month ago. And that wasn't because what we had wasn't working. It was because we knew it. So we're always constantly evolving, continuously and making sure that what we're offering is what is making business easier for our partners. So the new platform has a complete new look to it. We can customize and streamline the banner ads that are on there, specific. And again, the order guides and project butters that you're used to, specific to what you're purchasing on a regular basis, your favorites, and all of your projects that you're doing for any new openings. That can also be
Yeah, I think, for me, especially as I support a lot of smaller groups, the ability for me to go in and you mentioned the order guides, you mentioned the project builders. Those are tools I'd love you to talk a little bit more about, because I feel like operators, maybe even, big, small, whatever, could take more advantage of those tools, because for me, they've just been amazing, because I can, instead of, hey, Becky, I need a quote on something, I can go in for a client and say, what do you need? And I go and find it. And then I'm able to generate what I need and send it to them. And they could do that themselves on their own to be able to, plan for budgeting or for whatever. And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how those systems work and how they can be taken advantage of by a customer.
Technology continues to drive changes in senior care, and that includes food service. eMenuChoice is an award-winning point-of-service application for managing the dining function in senior living communities. This mobile, touchscreen-enabled software enhances the dining experience for residents while streamlining processes for staff. The flexibility and functionality of eMenuChoice makes it an effective solution for any type of senior living environment, from independent and assisted living to skilled nursing facilities. It works for production kitchens or restaurant-style service with options for per meal or a la carte pricing, and accommodates a variety of payments, including bill to account, meal credits, and credit cards. Created by a senior care provider with more than a century of experience serving older adults, eMenuChoice eliminates communication barriers between staff and residents while enabling person-centered choices and greater resident satisfaction. eMenuChoice, transforming dining for senior living.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so overwhelming are the 500,000 SKUs that I mentioned,
Right.
right? So being able to really customize and streamline what do you actually need for your operation and focusing on, we spend a lot of time looking at good, better, best, whether it's a food plan or a ladder or disposable cup, so that they're choices, but
Mhm.
we need to zero in on what makes the most sense for each partner's operation. And I say this all the time, if you've seen one, you've seen one. Because
Right.
they are all different and they all have different needs, different
Yeah.
budgets, different styles, different designs. So the platform that you're able to log into and utilize as your online catalog and ordering system can be completely customized around your buying habits, the
Yeah.
products that you need to purchase on a regular basis. So being able to put all the items that you're clicking and buying on a daily, weekly, monthly basis
Mhm.
into an order guide helps to take away the distraction of where can look, where's my phone and where's
Right.
my phone?
Yeah. No, one thing I've noticed is when you made the comment about the good, better, best, that is very obvious when you're looking for something. Cause I've, done a search for, a range, right? I had someone asking me, they're opening a very small, like, I think it was a 10-unit memory care. And the conversation was about, well, what kind of kitchen equipment should I have? And I'm like, well, don't buy a residential stove. Even though you're only serving 8 or 10 people, you want something good quality. And when I pulled that up, I could easily see, you know, the quality piece of that, but also the price point of that. Like there's definitely the ability to go in and say, okay, well, this is something that's going to fit my budget. And I know it's not like necessarily the cheapest thing on the market. And so there's some opportunity there for a customer to do a little bit of their own research, which is great. But on the flip side, there's still the team behind all of that if it's a bigger project or they just need that help. And so how did that work as far as the support?
Yeah. So the ClarkPRO team is made up of obviously our partnership development team, which is our sales team.
Right.
And then our account management team is a large part of how we operate. The account management team is working with those partners day in, day out to help them either pick out the right product that they need, help with shipping items, and really be the consultant, right? So we're consultant for all of the things that they're purchasing. And, as we've grown as a company, we are, far beyond just the food service equipment and supply dealer that we were. We're really a great solution when it comes to environmental services products, office supplies, industrial supplies. And so we're really leaning into that and helping our partners find a place, find a partner where they can look at as a one-stop shop. Really take the heavy lifting of purchasing off their plates.
Yeah. You bring up something I'm curious about the additional things, right? Like that environmental services feels kind of like a natural, like those are lots of things you need in a kitchen, but you talk about office supplies, you talk about some of those other like verticals. Was it really just working with customers and realizing that they're, complaining to you about all these other like vendors and services they're using that kind of drew you guys into that? And also, do you see that over all the verticals?
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, the verticals, I think, the web shop store, especially, complete B2B, and that's really the shift that we're making here is, to lean into the other product categories because yes, when we're opening in your senior living community or helping like get a new kitchen open in higher education, we're recognizing that, well, we could really support over here. We could really help you out these products. And so just listening
Yeah.
and making sure that we're, helping the partners find the other items that they need and doing that all in one spot. So, we aren't the company that's like, oh, we don't do that. We don't have that.
Right.
We want to learn why we don't have that and why we don't do that. And then see if it makes sense.
Yeah. A couple of times you've mentioned Webstront and I'd love for you to do a little clarifying, more so maybe for my own education than anything else. But, when I first kind of started doing my first online research, Webstront was something I found. And I was like, oh, there's all kinds of stuff. And I would pull quotes and pricing from there. So how though is Webstront different than ClarkPRO? And what's the advantage of just getting out of the Webstront mindset from an operator's perspective and using using the ClarkPRO side of things?
Sure. So again, same company, same distribution, same purchasing tool, same core services essentially.
Right.
But the specialization in moving over to ClarkPRO would be that high tech, high touch.
Okay.
So you're adding in the partnership team in order to help you with your purchases, streamline your ordering platform. You're able to check out and pay on purchase order. A lot of what the robust, sort of sophisticated partners need.
Yeah.
Lectrust is certainly a great solution, but it is, open to the public. You would check out and pay on credit card. And so it's a great solution. But if you want to bring everything under one umbrella, analytics and reporting that you can look for, integrations in the purchasing systems, and really have more of that handheld partnership process, that is the answer at ClarkPRO.
So if I were to make an analogy, it's like the difference between buying from like a restaurant depot to purchasing from like Cisco or US Food or somebody like that. You can probably find the same things, but you're going to get way more support with that distributor who understands the products and what they're carrying and can provide solutions.
Yeah, and which is why we also have that separation and working with the larger partner that has multiple locations, a larger spend. And so that's really what we strive for to make sure that the partnership is there on both sides.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. So, well, Becky, as we wrap up and, starting to better understand the difference between, what ClarkPRO is now and then what you're doing there, what would you tell our listeners is probably the one big thing or the one big advantage or the one big takeaway from the big change that you guys have done here in kind of separating those out?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say, I think the thing I'm most proud of is that really, even internally, but mostly externally to our partners, like really nothing has changed there in terms of the seamless approach from design project to equipment to all the smaller items that you need. But
Yeah.
I think what I'm most excited about for ClarkPRO is being able to step out into phasing into our own business unit where we can really grow and scale and hire and invest more resources and make what we're doing for our partners even better than it's been.
Yeah, no, that's great. So tell the listeners how they can connect with you or with the ClarkPRO team and get themselves signed up so they get all the support from this great company you started building.
Great. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Becky Smith, Smith at ClarkPRO. Certainly, find me on the interwebs and looking up, Clark Food Service or ClarkPRO. And, we're always excited to talk to the next partner and listen and learn how we can make what they're doing easier.
Perfect. Well, Becky, thanks so much for taking a little bit of time away from the Synergy conference to sit down and tell us all about the ClarkPRO and all the exciting things you're doing.
I appreciate the opportunity. We got to get back to it.
Yes, ma'am. So there it is, everybody. Another one in the books. Thanks again for tuning in. Please follow, like, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on social media at Tips from Trestle. You can also learn more about the work I do by following me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. And be sure to check out Trestle Hospitality Concepts at www.trestlehospitalityconcepts.com. I'm your host, Aaron Fish, and this has been another episode of Tips from Trestle.